Welcome back. This is Daybreak, and thank you for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub. Abdikadir with me this morning is Senator Dan Manzo, representing the county of Makueni. The Executive Director of the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, Franklin Mukwanja, is as well with us in studio, and the Mbeere North Member of Parliament, Honorable Geoffrey Ruku. Franklin, coming to you, there is another factor in the mix here that's coming, and yesterday attained new status, and this is the government's now taking over of Odinga's AU job bid, and to which the Prime Cabinet Secretary yesterday said, as a government and country, we wish Odinga good luck and Godspeed in this noble endeavor for the African continent. Africa also needs Baba, is what he said. Beyond reading into the statement by the Prime Cabinet Secretary, in between the lines, is this what's also causing some of the concerns as put out by Rigathi Gachagua, yeah. The feeling that Odinga is now part of government, and this causing the cracks that we're witnessing and the friction between the head of state and his deputy?
Thank you, Abdikadir. Allow me to take two steps behind a bit on two things, then link up with that issue.
Please.
The issue Honorable Manzo raised about shareholding, I think the Deputy President only verbalized it. But if you look at the nature of appointments done by the President, is pragmatizing it. And you can see that the stake and the main shareholding actually is dominated by Rift Valley and then followed by Central. And while one only verbalized, yeah, the other one is actually a stickler and a practitioner of this. Now, the issue of the challenges of the members of parliament, I think we should also feel sorry for this gentleman, because as a country we have a very poor political culture, and that has enabled a misnomer in our social contract. This gentleman is holding to the weekend, and none of them can arrive in their constituents with even 500,000 shillings and come back with it in Nairobi, because we have turned our elected leaders into social welfare dispensers, and we are shifting them away from their actual work of oversighting, representing, and legislating to, a social welfare dispensation. Then Honorable Manzo and Honorable Ruku here are left to wonder, how do I go to the constituency with empty hands? And therefore, their actions are done based on a leash. I need to look good possibly in the eyes of the people that have a cake so that I can be able to share. And unless we fix this culture, our leaders will not be able to do their work because of the transactional politics that we are into. Now, on the issue of Raila Odinga, first, it is a convenient truth, in my view, for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga to tell us that he's his own man, and he was running and he was surprised by the support of the government. Yeah. And a view that it seems Honorable Manzo, again for political convenience, to be a suitable argument. If you look at the reality, is that it's not possible to be a candidate without your state, validating you. And he would have been really foolish, and he would be a laughingstock offering himself. And then the government says, hell no. But because it fits within the selfish interests of the current regime, then they had no choice but, to negotiate with Raila and be able to continue with that. The other thing that we have to look at is what you asked. Is that what is causing instability in the regime? I think that could be one of the reasons that Honorable Rigathi is seeing the replay of what happened to his boss when he was deputy, and therefore he's just gone back to the defiance that his boss had with his boss in the previous regime. I think regardless of that, what we see is that there must have been a handshake that allows Raila to run for AUC position, and whether he will be part of the game plan to return a favor in 2027, that is left to be determined at a later stage. But what I can say right now is the person who stands to reap the benefits from Raila's candidature for the AUC position is actually President William Ruto.
In what sense?
Because one is that Raila is a formidable candidate. I don't think so far we have any other candidate that can give the President William Ruto a run for his money, if not Raila Odinga. So if you can't push him out of the scene in 2027, then possibly you have a softer run. Secondly, whether Raila gets it or loses it, William Ruto will be on the highest pedestal saying, look, I am a gentleman. We competed, but I supported you for the position, but you are a serial loser. I couldn't help you. And if Raila wins, then he flags that in the eyes of Raila's supporters and say, look, I have done this. It is your time, and he has said it before, that I supported Raila in 2007. I need to be, a favor should be returned. So whether Raila loses or wins, I think the person, and it's out of those interests, the one is a formidable competitor, William Ruto, so edging him out is significant. Okay. Whether he wins or loses, William Ruto will be able to say, look, I supported you, you lost. I supported you, you won, return a favor. Okay, all the same, it works to his advantage. Yes. Yes, Honorable Ruki, you had a point before we went on a break. The point which I wanted to make is that it came from Senator Maanzo, that Deputy President of the Republic and the President will stick together, even in 2027 presidential race. And after 2027, once we win, and of course we win in a very large margin, and this is something which Senator Maanzo
you had lost the last election.
I would not want to hear. We'll win in,
You lost the last election.
No.
You only stole the election.
No, we never saw any election. Then after that, let whoever won this kind of infight, which we see as if it's starting to happen now, let it happen then. Okay? But for now, the president and the deputy president will stick together, will work together, will ensure they remain on course for the benefit of the unity and the economic good performance of the economy of this country. And come 2027, we'll ensure they stick together as well, because that unity is key. But they seem not to be listening, because Honorable Ruku, yes, on Sunday you had not only the president speaking about this matter, saying that he calling for the prayers of the clergy against the darkness predicted by his deputy, but also the cabinet ministers. Look at some who spoke. The Prime Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, Professor Kithure Kindiki, to the extent of even saying that this is a template, as we had witnessed in 2007-8 when the skirmishes of the post-election violence engulfed the country. You had the CS Defense speak about the matter. It seems this is also by extension, bringing on board other members of government who are speaking against the deputy president. So how does your clarion call go to the extent that there should be restoration of proper relations between the president and his deputy? There are those who would be very happy to see a fallout, and there are very many, from the leaders in minority to also those who are within the coalition, who would want to take advantage of that for the EM to be the alternatives. There are many. But we who are concerned with the success of the President William Ruto for these 5 years and 2027 and 2032, we will continue insisting the unity of the deputy president and the president is key, not only for the success of William Ruto government, but also unifying our community and our country is extremely important. Without unity, we can't achieve anything as a nation. So those who are thinking that they're going to be fallout, like my brother Senator Maanzo, they are going to wait for some time. It will not happen. In the eyes of the public, there's already a fallout, and the presidency is not in tandem. But everything is running properly. We saw the other day Deputy President escorting President to go to South Korea. And he'd not receive him when he came back from the United States. Yes, because it's the President who has sent the Deputy President to go to Rift Valley for a number of functions, and he could not, and the functions were still going on. So Deputy President did not fail to go to welcome the President from the United States of America
because of any difference. He was on tour of duty in Lefty Valley, which he was sent by his boss.
But isn't it concerning? Some few hours after the Madaraka Day celebrations in the county of Bungoma, he flew to a night meeting in the county of Laikipia and say words in his mother language that were appallingly dangerous to the unity of the presidency.
I have not listened to the ones he said. At least I understand the entire of Kikuyu. I have not heard anything like that. I have not seen it in any social media. And I don't think the Deputy President can say something which can be against his office. He is part and parcel of the presidency. So, you know, Kenyans would want, especially those who are in the minority in opposition, would want to fuel this, misunderstanding, to look as if there is serious things happening. And I can tell you from where I sit, the president and his deputy are going to move this country forward. In case of any differences, which may, in terms of seeing things, it is true we are all different. The president may be seeing how to run the country in a different way. Deputy is his principal assistant, the president doesn't need to be assistant in each and everything. He can decide, you are going to assist me with only one aspect. That is the constitution. This government is president's government. Yeah? It's not president and deputy's government. It is president government. So I don't think the deputy and the president will be having the kind of fallout which my brother senator and others who are foreseeing. Things are going to run properly. We are going to ensure they stick together. Yeah. The unity of Mount Kenya is paramount. The unity of Ukambani is paramount. The unity
of Kenya is paramount.
The unity of Rift Valley is paramount. The unity of Kenya is paramount.
Thank you. Senator Manzo, yes, please.
There's just a wise say, you know, there's a wise say in Ukambani and in Kikuyu and maybe in other tribes that, a dog in a homestead will not bark for a lizard. You know, if a lizard passes by, the dog will just continue doing its things. Now, when you hear the likes of the governor of Nyeri talking, then it means there's a very serious danger in the homestead of central Kenya. That is not a man who just wake up and talk. He's a very measured man. He is a governor of Nyeri. And if you see the leadership, generally the leadership, this begins, the senator of Nyeri, Matinga, tried to modulate. But you can see the general theme in that region. And you can see the deputy president went to Laikipia, talked in his language, very detailed things, then went to Mount Kenya East. Maybe Honorable Ruku doesn't know that Mount Kenya East politics were started by the late George Nyaga and now taken over by his party leader, Muturi, the Attorney General. So it's a very serious thing. Mount Kenya East feels somehow isolated and hasn't gotten the best deal out of this government, you know. And then it goes on to central Kenya. And without those regions, Mount Kenya East and Mount Kenya, I can assure you President Ruto will be having very few votes. So I think now that there is some alertness in central Kenya, and also the distribution of the government. You see, the government is Minister of Roads, Minister of Health, Energy, and the like, lands. So when those ministries are not rotating, then all the businessmen from central Kenya, and Rigathi himself funded President Ruto big time, all these businessmen, they have been removed from business. So they are wondering what is our share of this government. So there's real trouble, there's a real problem. People who brought Ruto to power have been thrown out, and they have nothing for their businesses are shutting down. They are in debt. What do you think they are thinking? And they come from central Kenya. They are friends of the deputy president. He's the one who asked them to fundraise, and that they will get favors after government is formed.
Okay. Next up is on what this then portends for the opposition, because Odinga yesterday stated that I am not anyone's project. I'll be coming to you on that. Franklin pointing out, and this is the wholesale conversation, a church service about 5 months ago, the Deputy President was in the county of Meru, and he said that his mother comes from there, and was telling the congregation in church then that this government has absorbed your kids. He mentioned the Inspector General of Police, Japheth Kome, the Attorney General, J.B. Muturi, Honda Buruku's party leader. He also mentioned the Agriculture CS, Mythical Inturi, and other appointments done by the government, which he said that had largely employed the sons and daughters of Maryland. I mean, when the country is depicted in such a picture, isn't it dangerous? In the essence that there is already a feeling of marginalization and sidelining, and when the centre now, the Deputy President, continues on with that wording, with that language and tone, and where he blatantly and says so nakedly that there are certain regions and certain persons that will be preferred when it comes to government services, and now crying foul over what he says is the usage of sons and daughters from the region who are being used as elements of division in the Mount Kenya region, now talking about the crux of the presidency. I mean, how can the leadership in this country address this, given that this constitution has addressed one fundamental issue, which is amongst the many, of the president's willy-nilly dismissal of his vice presidency, and now they are joined at the hip. What does this then mean, this crux, and the aspect of unity, and being viewed Kenya as a mosaic and ethnic makeup of many communities that are channeling their energy in terms of taxes, resources, and also their expertise in the growth of the economy and prosperity largely?
Abdulkadir, Kenyans bestowed themselves a new constitution 14 years ago, and they gave their views and consolidated into a mother law that they expected would be able to address these issues. At the center of our challenges as a country is equity of opportunities in terms of sharing of resources, and that is why we are struggling as a country. Now, if we do not address particularly, and what concerns me most, is the inability to fully implement the 2010 Constitution, especially when it comes to addressing the core issues of fair distribution of resources and such. And this speaks to the architecture of devolution. And if you look at it, I have had, especially the National Assembly members, really being in praise songs about the 400 billion shillings and such. But as long as we are not working on devolution and making sure that Kenyans are feeling that the center is only a symbol of unity, and the decisions and the resources and the access to opportunities are actually devolved, we will continue having these challenges. We still have a lot of concentration at the center, and as long as power and resources is concentrated at the center, it is not going to be enough. The proximity to that cake will always be a problem. What regarding the president, deputy president regarding this feeling now is that he's being moved further and further. His proximity to the cake is being, the distance is increasing. And as long as that is at play, we will continue to have this unnecessary fuss at the national level. The solution is in strengthening devolution so that local people can be able to see that we have sufficient resources, we have sufficient sway on decisions, we have sufficient opportunities at our level, and therefore only look at what competencies do we require at the national level to continue running this devolved governance that provides and affords us benefits equally to all of us. As long as there is the appetite of centralization. And we have seen this. One of the promises that the president made and the government of Honorable Buruku made was actually to make sure that the remaining functions are actually devolved, are transferred. That discussion has since disappeared. We are continually seeing the health ministry budget being larger than the county health budget when actually health is a fully devolved function. And these are the issues that are making Kenyans not happy and pushing their leaders to struggle to have the proximity to the cake at the national level every time. So the focus should be on how do we properly and holistically implement the constitution, especially from the aspect of devolution.
Okay. Honorable Manzo, coming to you, and this is largely on Odinga's candidacy now, the government backing his bid. There's the strategy team that will be made up by Ambassador Mahbub Maalim, Ambassador Dr. Caroline Karugo, Ambassador Anthony Okara, Ambassador Elkanah Odembo, and Professor Makau Mutua. What does his, in the event he clinches the seat, what does his exit mean for the opposition?
First and foremost, you know, if Raila Odinga becomes the chair of African Union Commission, then it means for the time he's there, he cannot comment or participate in politics. But doesn't stop him from resigning from African, you know, from that position. It doesn't stop him from when it gets 2027 also going back to politics. But I believe this will be an opportunity to serve Africa and to serve the world and also to serve Kenya at the same time. And I believe he befits that particular position. So as soon as he's here, I want to say that Azimio is intact. Of course, the president is being very calculative. He's going to work or pretending that he's helping or his government is helping Raila Odinga to clinch the U seat. They just don't have a choice but what a well-meaning nation will do.
Okay.
This is the event. President Ruto was against Raila. If Raila wins without him, then it is a serious diplomatic issue between Kenya and other African states. And therefore, it's just orderly, no matter how much you hate a candidate, to support that particular candidate. Now, to what extent is this support? You have, you know, the stature of Raila Odinga is that he is wired to all these Africans president himself. Mm-hmm. And as I told you, most of them have been in opposition, and they have been colleagues with him. And they are also very much aware of the many issues with the election in Kenya. Even the last election was narrowly contested. You know, it was 6 million votes, you would say. We are aware of many things which never went to the Supreme Court out of the time limitation, which happened, and for real, the election was stolen. So even all these African presidents, they know. And for that matter, they know this is a man who would have become president given an opportunity. You need also 75%. And they have already passed a resolution that the seat comes from East Africa and the deputy comes from North Africa. And East Africa have already agreed it is Raila Odinga. And therefore, there is every chance that he is going to African Union. I believe he means it, and he wants to go and serve the country in that aspect and serve Africa. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And therefore, his departure doesn't change his numbers. The Azimio numbers remain. In fact, they have increased. No single Azimio person, other than just a few political parties who were bought. You know, remember after the election, we had the majority of MPs. And a few people left. And when they joined Ruto, they have been mistreated terribly. Now Rigathi Gachagua is being mistreated. And I want to say that it is President Ruto, in Kiswahili, ambaye amemchokoza deputy president. You know, you have somebody who brought you to power. And you are crying for his assistant just a few months ago. And as soon as you come to power, okay, you go publicly and say, my friend, you are fired. The next, I will lobby my party. And the next deputy president is going to be a lady. You've already fired him. What do you expect him to do?
Okay, in a short while, we'll be sampling the feedback, and I'll give you your closing remarks. But, Honorable Ruku, what do you make of Odinga's, we have some 15 minutes, so don't worry. Yesterday, the Prime Cabinet Secretary's statement, loaded, of course, and the shuttle diplomacy that will be taking across the African continent. From the government's perspective, and this is a man who many of you in the opposition, especially during the protest against the government on the high cost of living, you never held him in high esteem, and now you are overpraising him of his Pan-Africanism, including the former the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and also his achievements in terms of the values that he had championed in this country. What does it portend for Kenya's politics in the event Odinga clinches the seat?
Of course, we support Raila Odinga's bid to become the chairperson of African Union Commission. And we don't support him because we want him to be out of the Kenyan political scene. No, we support him because he has all the qualities and qualifications for this position. Raila Odinga is a true statesman. He's a true African statesman. He has proved, he has earned that position over the years. It's not something that will come within a short period of time. He understands the geopolitical, of the entire Africa. He knows how, the struggle of independence of each and every African nation. And not only the struggle of independence, but also the economic strides which each and every African nation is making. So he has a big picture, he has a bird's-eye view of Africa. He understands the politics of each and every nation within Africa continent. So he's a man who is suited best to be the chairman of African Union, and that's why we are supporting him. Okay. And in case he become the chairman, and we are going to, as Kenya Kwanza government, all the resources will be available to his team to ensure that Raila win this position come January next year. If that happens, he's at liberty to serve up to 2027 January and decide to come back and run for presidency.
2028?
No, election is 2027 August. It's not 2028. So he's free to come back and run for presidency. But having said that, of course, we have our candidate, William Samoei Ruto, who will win the next general election.
So it's a 4 year. The AUC is a 4 year, starting in early 2025. So that is.
So we are saying we are supporting because he's best suited. He's qualified. But having said that, he's free to come back and run as the for presidency of the Republic of Kenya, and we'll be having two candidates, William Ruto and Raila Odinga. He's free to come back and do that.
Okay. He's also free to stay on.
But what we are saying is whether Raila Odinga will run for the seat of presidency here in Kenya or not. William Samoei Ruto is the next president of the Republic of Kenya until 2032.
Okay, so that mandate, you have prophesied a win. But the president, of course, has the liberty to run if he so wishes, because he has a limit of until 2032 if he decides, but the people of Kenya will make that decision.
Yes, the people of Kenya will make that decision. Yes. But let me say this also as far as the Raila bid is concerned. This bid is not a symbol, it's not a walk in the park. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs plus the secretariat which has been formed must work day in, day out. They have to put all the necessary strategies. The back office is extremely important office when it comes to running of any campaign.
Thank you.
Whether it's MCA position or the presidency or African Union chairperson, back office is extremely important.
Thank you.
Let the Minister of Foreign Affairs, as they have said, ensure all the resources are available for Raila Odinga back office so that work can be executed with military precision.
Thank you. Franklin,
that has to be budgeted. I've not seen it in the budget proposal.
Okay, I'll give the final word to Franklin here. The last time when we lost, Ambassador Amina Mohamed had flown the Kenyan flag. Is there a likelihood of this playing out from your analysis, Franklin, of the Francophone and the Anglo aspects, the lines along, the language in the continent, the perception that we seem to be more inclined to the West, Washington, London, and Bretton Woods institutions. Of course, West Africans are a bit detached, and given what has been happening in Guinea, Burkina Faso, Mali, the paradigm shift in terms of de-association from the French, the Americans, and then the British, and the absorption of the Russian aspect of welcome that they got in the western part of the continent. Is this an aspect that may tilt the vote?
Yeah, I think there's been a bit of information about why Ambassador Amina lost. And of course, it's those dynamics of the Anglophone, Francophone, the small, the big countries, and of course the religious issue at play, as you already could be aware, about 30 countries that are Muslim have thrown their weight behind the Somali candidate. So those dynamics are likely to play out. But the best thing is to learn from those challenges on why Ambassador Amina did not succeed and be able to address them. President William Ruto has come out of the blocks quite strongly, wearing a kaunda suit and portraying the African spirit, and we hope that his many trips will really be good. And I think we have seen the overtures to the President Museveni. There was that rumor about former President Kikwete running, and that immediate, declaration, I am not, and having the regional leaders backing up. I think there's some lesson that suddenly has been learned from the failure of Ambassador Amina, and that should be good. And I've looked at the team that, of course, is working with Raila Odinga. I'm not privy to the team from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but then the ministry, the State Department of Foreign Affairs, is definitely endowed with very gifted diplomats. But if you look at the experience from Raila's men, Ambassador Elkanah Odembo, Anton Okara, and Ambassador Maalim Habub, just from IGAD, there is thinking about how to go about it, and we wish Baba well. It is our pride if he becomes, but certainly his victory or lack of it will impact 2027.
Thank you.
My last statement is on the budget. I think we have parliamentarians that have the power to be able to really look at the budget and help this country in a good way. What we need to do is to ask these parliamentarians that please be honorable leaders and do the right thing.
Asante, thank you. The expectations from the bicameral parliament. Gentlemen, your time is all appreciated.
Time is not up?
For the time, yes. Appreciated. Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, we again proceed sometime.
We have to say something about Mogoka.
We are pressed for time. Thank you, Honorable Geoffrey Ruku.
There is Mogoka.
Mbere North MP. We'll have the discussion around that. Less worries. Senator Dan Manzo, thank you. And Frank, we are out of time. Franklin Mukwanja, Honorable Dan Manzo, Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, your time is all appreciated, and many thanks for making time for the broadcast. Always a big thank you to you. A different conversation altogether coming up next year after the break. On Daybreak, keep your comments coming. We'll sample them in the course of this broadcast.